Well, I like to travel and I like to write. I'm just going to go be a travel writer. And that was pretty much how much went into it.
Welcome to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. Here are your hosts, the radio vagabond Palle Bo and TBEX CEO Rick Calvert.
Hi and welcome to Travel Matters. My name is Palle Bo, and in this intro, I'm alone because of the time difference. I'm still in Thailand after TBEX Thailand, and Rick's back in the US on mountain time, so he's probably sleeping right now, and when he wakes up, it's pretty late for me. So let me just say welcome to Travel Matters. We got another great episode, and you'll hear Rick in a minute speaking with Shelia Scarborough from Tourism Currents. But we'll start with an interesting conversation with Dianne McNamara from Go RVing.
Okay, we're back at TBEX Lafayette, and I'm here with Dianne McNamara from Go RVing. Welcome, Dianne.
Hi, welcome to me and to you. This has been an amazing conference. I'm so happy to be here.
This is now Go RVing's been to TBEX before, but this is your first time.
My first time to a TBEX. Yep.
And what's been your general impression?
I had no expectations. I didn't. My partner, Christy Hamilton, was at the Billings TBEX and loved it. And she is the person on my agency side who makes the suggestions to the Go RVing team as to what conferences to attend. And she loved TBEX and Billings and said, we have to attend this one. And so I had no expectations except we were in Louisiana, one of my favorite states. And I'm like, I want to go. This sounds fun. And it's blown my mind how much content there is in terms of opportunities for the writers, opportunities to celebrate the area, to really experience and just go in a deep dive on the experiential side. But what's really surprised me, Rick, is the opportunities for the other sponsors to collaborate with each other. Especially in the RVing world, we are about getting people into the great outdoors, experiencing the country. The RV is a mode of transportation to get there, right? It's not the experience as much as it is how you get to that destination. So considering all these destinations, Christy and I are just making great contacts and thinking about ways we can collaborate with our other sponsors. Yeah.
So let's talk about Go RVing. What is Go RVing?
Yeah, so we are the consumer side of the RV industry. So the RV Industry Association is a collaboration of the majority of RV manufacturers, campgrounds, dealerships, camping product companies, all came together to promote the RV camping world, the camping industry, and the lifestyle.
So their mission is to promote the RVing lifestyle and vacation and experience.
Right. So we tried. Go RVing is the consumer side of the industry, and we don't own RVs, we don't own campgrounds. We are an information source for people interested in RVing, how to get started, where to find one, where to rent one, tips and tricks, recipes, destinations. It's really GoRVing.com is our platform, and that's where we hire writers to create content for us. We create content for our YouTube channel.
So you partner with creators to create content for Go RVing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And not everyone has to be an RVer. But
could be their first time.
The majority of RVers right now are first times because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we have found that because of the pandemic, people dipped their toe into camping. It was an opportunity for people to control their environment and still get outside.
Feel safe.
Feel safe and bring everything they want from home and control the cleanliness of it and so forth. And they tried it and they loved it. So Rick, the average age of a RV buyer pre-pandemic was in the 40s, and now it's 31.
Wow.
31. And
that's a
huge shift. It's really, really expanded. It's cool. It's cool to RV now,
it started before COVID when a whole bunch of creators started doing year-long RV trips. Mm-hmm. It just became a trend. And there's multiple attendees here at TBEX who went on those year-long and some of them multi-year-long RV trips. And So I think the trend started before COVID. Am I right about that?
Well,
but COVID just made it explode.
It did. It depends. I mean, if you're a content creator, then you're a travel writer, you're going to want to travel,
yes.
Right? The trend now is not so much these cross-country road trips, but more discovering your own backyard. So people will buy an RV or they'll rent one. That's really how most people get started. They'll go to Outdoorsy or RV Share, RVZ. They're the Airbnb of the RV industry.
Yep.
And you can find all of that on Go RVing.com. It's a great information tool. And then they'll try it. They'll go to a campground or they'll have an RV delivered to the campground. And so they can experience the camping, experience there at
I've
the
done
campground.
that before on fishing trips where we rent a spot and we call them, tell them, hey, we're here, and they bring the trailer and they just park it for us.
And they set it up for you and all of it, right?
Yep. You hook up the gas, you're ready to go, and then when you're done, they pull it away. It's awesome.
I love it. I did that last year. What I did is I bought with a business partner of mine an RV, and we put it at a campsite for the season, and we rented it out all season, and we got it paid for in a year. I mean, it's paid for because you can. That's really a great way when people are on the fence about an RV. Can make money for you when you're not using it.
Yes.
Just rent it, and the insurance is included, so you're safe. You're safe and sound. But really, Rick, most people are traveling within 100, 200 miles from home, and experiencing their own backyard that way, or they'll use an RV as a guest house.
Yes.
Or a she shed or
yes.
whatever. But the travel writers, the new and up-and-coming travel writers, aren't really looking to go on those long cross-country road trips with it. And Go RVing can't help them with that, right? We can't give you a month's or a year's vacation.
Right.
But often what we'll do is partner with writers to give them, 5 days, 3 days, 2 days, whatever, and we'll find them the right campground. And what we haven't done and what we're going to start doing because of TBEX is we're going to start contacting those tourism boards and really partnering to create more of a fleshed out experience for them, because that is what RVing is
Help
about.
them create content for their local campgrounds.
Absolutely.
To promote the destination.
To promote the destination. So the campground is great, but most people go to a campground to see that destination.
Absolutely. Stay in the campground and then you go into town at night or
they're
during
going
the day.
to Lafayette because they want the food and the music,
yes.
and the campground is their hotel.
Yes.
So this has just been a great conference for us in terms of new ideas, ways to expand on what we're already doing.
You mentioned the decrease in the average age.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other RVing stats you can share with us that people may not be aware of?
Really exciting ones, too. So the KOA, which is Campground of America, they do a campers report every year.
Based in Billings, Montana.
Based in Billings. And they do an annual report that is just an exhaustive research. And then RVIA also has a really robust research arm. And between the two, we've come up with some incredible numbers in terms of new RVers. So last year, 1 out of 10 new RVers were from an LGBTQ family. And almost 60%, 59 point something, were from a non-white family. Household, non-white household.
Have you met Lauren Gay from Outdoorsy Diva here? Okay,
yes,
good.
We've had lots of good conversations, and we had a complimentary presentations here, which was nice to compare. But that's really exciting for us because the outdoors is for everyone. We all own this land. We all own the national parks. We all own the state parks. The outdoors is all of ours. And yet there are communities that haven't traditionally felt welcome, or haven't felt that if they go to that campground they're going to feel comfortable, or they're going to see someone that looks like them. And we've worked very, very hard as an outdoor industry member to open those floodgates and partner with writers of people of color or people with disabilities or LGBTQ writers.
Just city folks.
Or city folks like me. I'm a Boston girl. And just making sure that we tell a story in a way, and we tell the story of RV camping in a way that they feel welcome and they'll dip their toe into it. I'll tell a story briefly if I could.
Please.
About the magazine Advocate. And years ago I was working on the Olympics, and some of the athletes were coming out, and so I contacted the Advocate, and I said, let's write about these athletes, and we remained very friendly. So I called her about taking an RV trip. I said, would you just go? Just please go. You can be honest, but please, I know you're going to love this. She very reluctantly went with her partner, and what turned out was supposed to be a short little thank you to me turned out to be a cover story, 4-page spread, and she bought the RV.
Wow.
And that to me is the perfect success story of your preconceived notions about what an experience is going to be until you actually experience it.
People, so I grew up going outdoors and camping and hiking and doing things like that, which I'm very grateful for. But my wife is a city girl 100%, and she's told me adamantly, I'm not going camping, and she needs, all the comforts of the hotel and everything. And we just recently moved to Utah, and the mountain is literally right outside our front door, and we go hiking almost every day. And she loves it. And I think that's what most people experience when they get out in nature, how beautiful and amazing it is.
Yeah.
And RVing obviously makes that accessible to those people who don't want to sleep in a tent because it's uncomfortable or it's scary. You're afraid the bear's going to eat you or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't tent camp. And you just summed up why. I don't want to sleep on the ground.
Yeah.
I don't want, I love the sound of nature. I love being connected with nature, as most human beings do.
Yes.
We simply forgot that. It's still in our DNA, but we are such an industrialized nation and world that we're just 100 years away from really connecting to nature, right? In our past. And so when you find families, especially children who haven't been damaged by technology to that extent, when you get them into a campground, into that nature, into connecting with the water, the land, the hiking, the fishing.
My girls love it.
Love it. And the technology, although the KOA Camping Report did their report a couple of years ago, and they said that teens would rather go without toilet paper than Wi-Fi. That's how important Wi-Fi is to them. However, Rick, when you get out there and you're camping with your kids, it takes about less than a day for them to leave their phones in the RV.
That's what they say. But they've never gone a day without toilet paper.
Well, right. That's
when
true.
COVID hit, what was the first thing we all ran out of? Toilet paper. It was the first thing we had to run on all the stores.
I'm blaming that survey on that.
Yes.
Darn it. Yeah, it's just really fascinating. And I challenge anyone who hasn't gone camping, right, to do what we suggest everybody do is just go to a campground and rent one of the cabins. They're called park models. They for the majority of them are RVs. They're just built on wheels. But they have a bathroom. They have a kitchen, they have a bedroom, they have AC, they have heat, but they get you
and a bed,
but they get you at the campground.
Yeah.
And then from there you start to see, especially if you have kids, they're playing with other kids, free range playing, no play dates. It's crazy. Or if you're single, or if you're a glamper, or if you're a golfer, there are gosh, I've forgotten the number, Rick, but thousands and thousands of campgrounds out there, public and private, for every lifestyle. There are some on golf courses. There's some in vineyards. So I just challenge people. I'm a city girl too, and I have never enjoyed my work more than I do. Just introducing people to this lifestyle and watching their life change. It changed my life.
That's great to hear. So if a creator wants to work with you guys at Go RVing, what should they do?
They should write Christy, CHRISTY, at fireitup.PR.com. So
excellent.
If you miss us, we want to meet you. And, as part of my presentation, Rick, I said, size doesn't always matter. Don't worry about how big you are or what your reach is. We need good writers to tell good stories.
And also, I heard you say you don't just need experienced campers either. You're welcome to talk to first-timers and get them out there.
We want an authentic interest in connecting with this. Whether you want to go with yourself, your spouse, your partner, your kids, your mother. There's room for everyone. It's a very big tent. And also the type of camping you want to do. We want to tell this story to as many people as we can to inspire them to just get out there and try it.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dianne. Thank you for supporting TBEX and the community of creators we have here.
Thank you,
Rick. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.
Certainly. Thank you.
That was Rick and Dianne McNamara from Go RVing. And as she mentioned, if you're a travel content creator and would like to work with Go RVing and write some content, you can reach out to Christy at fireitup.PR.com. The link to that is in the note section of your podcast app.
See all the links mentioned in this episode in the show notes and on tbexcon.com/podcast.
I have a great guest joining me now, Shelia Scarborough from Tourism Currents. And Shelia, we've known each other since 2007 or 8-ish?
Yeah, 7 or 8-ish, something like that.
Yeah. And I think when we first met, you were with your buddy Becky
Yes,
McCrae.
Becky and I were still together. It might even have been before that, when I was just doing travel writing, travel blogging stuff. When we were on the trip to Hawaii, and you were the conference guy, and I was the family travel person, and I still keep up with all the folks, as bloggers do. I still keep up with all those folks, including you, which is kind of cool.
What was your first TBEX?
Gosh, wow. It wasn't Toronto. It was before then. What was before Toronto?
Keystone, Vancouver.
Yes, did Keystone with my now business partners, Leslie McClellan. What was the one before that?
Vancouver, New York, and Chicago.
Did New York, yeah. So I didn't do the very first one in Chicago. I did the second one in New York, yes, and was all excited when the PR company brought us a taco truck, because we thought we were badass by having a taco truck with free food. Woo.
So how did you get into this, Shelia? How did you begin this
journey?
Yeah, travel journey.
Well, I grew up in a Navy family, and I was also in the Navy. And when I got ready to...
I know I've told you before, but thank you for your service.
Sure.
But weren't you like, not an admiral, but...
No.
But you were pretty high up.
I retired as a commander, which is the equivalent to a lieutenant colonel in the Army or the Marine Corps or the Air Force. So, I was a ship driver. I was a surface warfare officer. So I was on seagoing ships my whole career except for shore duty. And my last seagoing command was I was the executive officer. So I was second in command of an amphibious ship homeported in Japan.
So sorry to interrupt with
That's
the military career, but I know it was a big part of your life. And again, you were very accomplished in that career. So I was always impressed by that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no,
So your travel journey began before you got in the industry, obviously.
Yeah, it did. I mean, I grew up in a Navy family, so we moved all over the place. And my parents encouraged me to, we went all over the place and toured and traveled and saw things whenever we changed duty stations. And then when I went in the Navy, I moved all over the place and looked and explored. So when I got ready to retire, I said, okay, I didn't want to be a defense contractor, which is what most of my peers were doing.
Career choice.
And I said, what would I want to do that I would love as much as I loved going to sea? I'm like, well, I like to travel and I like to write. I'm just going to go be a travel writer. And that was pretty much how much went into it.
Just on a whim.
And a good friend said, well, if you're going to be a writer, you need to start a blog. And I said, okay. So I started a blog. And
what year was that? Would that be like 2005-ish?
February 2006.
Okay.
I launched a family travel blog on the Boots and All Travel Network.
Oh, yep.
And
a lot
kept
of people
that
were
going.
on Boots and All in the early days.
Great stuff. And I kept that going until about 2010. My kids kind of aged out of it, and I got tired of it. And then a year later, in March 2007, I was with a group blog that launched, the Perceptive Travel blog, that I'm still with, and we launched in March of 2007.
And you do that with Tim Leffel.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So I've known Tim a long time.
One of our conference directors.
That's right, yeah. Kind of ironic.
So when did you start Tourism Currents, and why did you start Tourism Currents?
My co-founder, Becky McCrae, who's based in Northwest Oklahoma, said, to me, with what you know about social media and social media marketing and travel, that might be of use to the tourism industry. Let's explore that. And so we teamed up and we launched Tourism Currents in September of 2009 with an online course and then in-person workshops and presentations and that sort of thing. Becky stepped away after a few years. She's still active in rural revitalization and how tourism can play into that, but mostly very passionate about small towns, rural areas, rural economic development, of which tourism is only a small part. My current business partner, Leslie McClellan, who has been to a few TBEXs, joined us in 2012, and so we've been motoring along as a business since 2009, teaching social media marketing and digital destination marketing to convention and visitors bureaus and destination marketing organizations.
And do you still focus on smaller DMOs, or could be anybody of any size, or do you have, who's your sweet spot for a client?
We have ended up working with a lot of medium to small size DMOs. We've worked with some large ones, some big cities, no problem with that. I'm kind of a city kid myself. But it just so happens that a lot of times what people need is, straightforward, no BS advice without, a whole lot of smoke and mirrors. And their budgets aren't all that big. And so we kind of hit into a sweet spot with medium medium to smaller DMOs and their partners, because a lot of times, even if the DMO staff is, up to speed on social media marketing, their partners have not always discovered the internet. So we end up coming in and doing some pretty basic level workshop stuff. But, it's those partners who deliver the experience of a destination. And if they're not up to speed digitally, there's only so much that the destination marketing people can do to kind of drag them along. They've got to be able to do their bit as well.
That is a thing that we preach here at TBEX. I've been using that term a lot lately, that when we come to a destination, it can be transformative for them.
Yes.
That it's this group of creators not just coming to the destination and write about it, but to teach all of those private industry partners, the hotels, the tour operators, the restaurants, the attractions, the venues, how do they work with creators and how can it change how they do their business? Yeah. So you help them, among other things, do that.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's something like TBEX, I think a lot of partners, they're so busy, they are head down running their restaurant, running their retail shop, running their whatever it is. And, okay, a bunch of bloggers and creators are going to come to town. Okay, whoop-de-doo. But I think sometimes they don't really recognize the longevity of that content. Yeah, sure, there's a bunch of stuff that flows out during the conference and a little bit before and a little after, tweets, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, videos, whatever. But it's the longevity of that content. It's, especially on platforms that have some legs, blogs, YouTube, Pinterest, where they can get found years from now because somebody happened to wander into their shop and say, this is the coolest thing ever, or sat down and ate their meal at this restaurant and said, you've got to go here. And so people a lot of times are surprised at this sudden influx of people. Yeah, it's not just while we're here, it's after we leave and all the things that we create afterwards as well that can really give your online presence some legs. But you've got to be discoverable online. If I talk about you and someone Googles, they got to be able to find something about you that indicates you have a digital pulse of some sort.
Yeah. And also the relationships that people make. It's not a one-night stand. We don't come to town and then we're gone. They can meet people here that they can have lifelong relationships with, and some of them are friendships and some of them are business relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what has really shifted in the world of travel creation, even since I started as a blogger, is getting together and doing work to, as essentially you're hiring a copywriter, if you will, and you partner up with a travel creator and, tie them in with your marketing goals and what kind of audience you're trying to connect with and what kind of, message you're trying to get out. What are your marketing goals? Always come back to that. But then figure out with them what sort of blog posts, what sort of videos, what sort of Instagram posts, what sort of, audio, podcasting, what kind of content can help me in working with this person, help me get in front of the market maybe that I am already in front of but not enough, or maybe it's brand new. And it's those collaborative things where, yes, the creator gets paid, but it's a project together. And then when that goes well, there can be ongoing benefits to the destination for continuing to have that relationship. You've basically gotten yourself an ambassador for your destination, even if they don't live there.
Exactly. And even more a bonus if they do live there is something that we tell destinations all the time that sometimes they overlook is there could be somebody living in your town.
Oh, for sure.
Who loves your town and loves to talk about it and tell all their friends why they should come there. That's a perfect creator for a destination to partner with.
Yeah. A lot of times we tell DMOs, one of the first things, if they're really just dipping their toes into this sort of thing, we say, host what in the old school we would call a Flickr photo walk. Now we call it an Instagram or Instameet. But, host an Instameet for your locals and, do a little party thing, have it in the morning or evening so you get that golden hour thing going.
Give
maybe
them some access to some stakeholders in town.
For sure. And just, work with your locals first. Make those connections with your locals first, and then a rock thrown in the middle of a pond, the ripples go out, and your local who's big on Instagram that you didn't even know about before says, yeah, I know a gal, I know a guy, and the next thing you know, you've begun that networking process that can continue to bring travel creators and attention of all kinds of creators to your destination.
So, I talked about it a little bit this morning, what we all went through collectively with COVID.
Yes.
What do you see that's different in marketing for your customers post-COVID? Has anything fundamentally changed from the way it is before, or are we just restarting what we did before?
Honestly, a lot of it is just kind of restarting, but I do see an additional appreciation for online content, and especially for partners. Many of them were forced into e-commerce, were forced into having a digital presence because that was the only way they were going to keep their business afloat, especially, of course, for restaurants, curbside, takeout, that kind of thing. But also your retailers suddenly said, if I can't sell online and then maybe walk out and do a curbside or do order fulfillment via mail, I'm not staying in business.
Yep.
And so suddenly you had, partners who had to figure out a website, had to figure out, a simple e-commerce platform, even just starting to sell things from their Facebook page, just something to get them into finally making that jump into having another income stream through online sales. I hope that continues because, that's what a lot of people want now, and it's another way to make money, and that's what your partners need to do to stay in business.
A lot of destinations went through just pre-COVID. The hot topic was over tourism.
Yeah.
And then COVID happens, and people go from 60 to zero.
Yeah.
Or close to zero. But then there were some other destinations that would be, tier 2 or tier 3 destinations, or more known for their outdoor activities.
Sure.
Who had their best years ever
Yes.
during COVID.
Yep.
But now that it's over, something that I noticed when I started traveling again is some of those cities that were dealing with over tourism are right back to it already, where the town is sold out.
Yeah.
The flights are sold out. And now, not even because there's fewer flights than there used to be, there's less capacity, and now flights are getting canceled and disrupted all over.
Right.
So how much is that impact what your clients are dealing with?
I think, over tourism definitely is an issue, where my business partner Leslie is up there around Kalispell and Whitefish, Montana, Glacier National Park. It's just banana pants up there. And constant efforts to spread people out.
Is that a technical term, banana pants?
Yeah, banana pants is
all
a
right.
technical term.
I just want to make sure.
But to, use your online assets, including your social media, to say, hey, yes, we know, of course, that Glacier National Park is the number one hot thing, but did you know, there are these other places that you can go. Here are some other places to get great views. Here are some other places to take a road trip. The Midwest and many rural areas, I hate to say hidden gems because, really nothing's hidden and nothing's a secret, but are getting more attention. And we also work with the National Scenic Byway Foundation at Tourism Currents, and boy, scenic byways are having a moment in terms of people who want to get out and who want to stay on the road.
Trips.
Yeah, I was on 2 of them yesterday. Bayou Teche Byway, I think it's a Louisiana State, or maybe it's a national one, and then a Prairie Zydeco, I think it was a Louisiana State Scenic Byway. But I was just out there going to a couple of little Louisiana towns, not that far from Lafayette, but I was out doing something different and fun.
Awesome. Well, Shelia, it's so great to see you again. It's been a little while.
Yes, it has.
And I'm really glad to see you, and looking forward to seeing you again soon at TBEX. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Thank you so much, Rick. I appreciate it.
That was it. As I mentioned, I am in Thailand after TBEX, and I just finished a fantastic fam trip, and now I'm resting up and doing a bit of work. I'm so behind working on my own podcast. We still have a few more episodes that Rick recorded at TBEX Lafayette, but in a couple of weeks, we'll start diving into the interviews that we did at TBEX Asia. Stay subscribed and please share this podcast. It will be so helpful in spreading the word about travel matters. My name is Palle Bo. See ya.
See more about upcoming TBEX events on tbexcon.com. You can follow Palle Bo on theradiovagabond.com.